begin? Since this is Aunt Bethany's 80th Christmas, I think she should lead us in the saying of grace.
Oh, great.
What, dear?
They want you to say grace. The blessing.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
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 Oh, I love that. I love that. Makes me smile every time. One of my most favorite Christmas movies, by the way. It must be watched this Christmas season. Hi, Investigator Dave. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Are you doing good? Wow, what a show we have for you today. I don't even know where to start. I'm going to have to get going, though, because I have something I need to play for everybody. Okay. Erin Elizabeth joins us in the second hour. Ammon Bundy joins us in this hour. First, I'm going to play Representative Matt Shea from Washington State, his statements on the new smoking gun. The reason I want to play this today, the reason I invited Ammon on, is because there is so much of a cover-up going on in this landmark case from 2014. And obviously there's a stay on the case right now, not to presume, I think, for another week or so. But here's the deal. There's such a huge cover-up, such behavior, illegal behavior going on with the Bureau of Land Management, that this smoking gun is huge. This is huge that they got this. And this came from the BLM investigator sending this off to the Assistant Attorney General, right?
Right.
And it got ignored. It got ignored, and this is huge news. So I'm going to go ahead. I want to start playing this.
Not ignored anymore.
Oh, a kill list by the FBI agent in charge, Dan Love, who's one of the most disgusting human beings on the planet.
We got a brave congressman.
Wow, we have a brave, yes, we do. And that brave congressman didn't come from the state of Utah, my state, didn't come from Nevada, no, it came from Washington. And thank goodness for somebody like Matt Shea. And you know how he prefaced this comment? I am not suicidal, I love my wife, and there's no images on my computer. Are we in a state of... I can't even believe that somebody has to say this in order to make a statement about something that they're trying to uncover about the government.
It speaks volumes about the fear that the government is putting in whistleblowers.
I agree. So let me go ahead. I want to play this because it's that you're just gonna freak. Okay, Washington Representative Matt Shea going on the record with all of this. This is amazing. Sorry, I'm getting this. This was all kind of done last minute because I wanted to make sure everybody got this, and make sure everybody can hear it. Wow, this is just huge. Okay, here we go.
Today, I would like to break some information that I have obtained. It is a correspondence between Special Agent Larry C. Wooten to Andrew D. Goldsmith, who's the Associate Deputy Attorney General of the United States of America. And recently we've heard, and you've reported on rumors, that there has been a move to dismiss the case against the Bundys down in Nevada. And what I am about to tell you is probably one of the reasons why. Recently, we've heard, and you've reported on rumors that there has been a move to dismiss the case against the Bundys down in Nevada. And what I am about to tell you is probably one of the reasons why. And it has to do with the unethical, potentially illegal behavior that was highlighted by Special Agent Wooten as a whistleblower in an email that, or it looks like an email, that we have confirmed the veracity of. And I want to just give you a little bit of a taste reading from this email of what Special Agent Wooten brought up as problems we found in the Bureau of Land Management, specifically in regards to the investigation of the Bundy family. Quote, I routinely observed and the investigation revealed a widespread pattern of bad judgment, lack of discipline, incredible bias, unprofessionalism and misconduct, as well as likely policy, ethical, and legal violations among senior and supervisory staff at the BLM's Office of Law Enforcement and Security. When I reported these issues, my supervisors seemed generally unsurprised and uninterested and was dismissive and seemed unconcerned. Now, I want to set the stage a little bit here. Apparently, Special Agent Wooten was the case agent or the lead investigator for this case. Here's another quote from him. "The longer the investigation went on, the more extremely unprofessional, familiar, racy, vulgar, and bias-filled actions, open comments, and inappropriate electronic communications I was made aware of or I personally witnessed," end quote. He then continues, quote, "The ridiculousness of the conduct, unprofessional, amateurish carnival atmosphere, openly made statements, and electronic communications tended to mitigate the defendant's culpability and cast a shadow of doubt, of inexcusable bias, unprofessionalism, and embarrassment on our agency," end quote. This is where it gets very incredible, because Special Agent Wooten brings up some very serious allegations against his own agency, and I want to kind of highlight what those are, and then I would like to go through what specifically is written in this correspondence. First, Special Agent Wooten says that there was the treatment of the Bundys in a manner that suggested they wanted to see a couple of members of the Bundy family either dead or harmed. And I want to be very specific about what he said about that in here.
Wow.
The second thing that's brought up is that there was an apparent withholding of exculpatory evidence that Mr. Wooten had brought to the attention of his supervisors. Next was that there was allegations of sexual misconduct inside the BLM's law enforcement arm, and that also there were indeed at Bundy Ranch snipers that had been deployed. Now, it's interesting because I personally have been witnessing the news reports that have been out there, some of the things you've been breaking, that snipers were in fact maybe not there, and that was the government's position in a previous hearing. This document very clearly is the smoking gun, not only in this case, but I believe an indictment of BLM itself, and maybe even potentially the prosecutors that are involved in this case. And I want to read again some of the things that are in here, because some of it is so outrageous that I will be sending a letter very specifically to Congress. We'll be sending a letter to Secretary Zinke and the Trump administration so that they can take the appropriate action and prosecute the bad actors for some of the behavior that has occurred inside the BLM.
Wow. Okay, we don't have time to play the entire thing. He talked about a kill list that the FBI agent had in charge. That he was in charge of this, and all of the ways that he acted, really illegal behavior and all kinds of things. I had a kill list. They had pictures of Cliven Bundy and Eric Parker with lines drawn through their faces up where people in that office of the BLM were to testify in the case. They had religious tests where they asked if you were a Mormon. They had snipers. That information came to light, that snipers were on the scene, and you were there. Dave,
I was there.
You were there in Bunkerville in 2014.
I was there the whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went there.
And you
as,
saw
I went
these
there
guys.
as a journalist, right? Because I got a journalist.
Right.
And yeah, I remember standing there, and a fellow comes up and says, "You see those snipers up there?"
Right.
And I go, "Where?" This is before my cataract surgery. I looked up. You could see the image of somebody on a hill, but he says, "Yeah, he's got a rifle."
Yeah, they had him trained on the Bundys and on the kids. I mean, it was that piece of information, all of the pieces of information that the defense tried to get, and the prosecution barred them from the information. That right there, you could declare a mistrial on right there alone.
Oh.
But when you go as far as to understand a kill list coming from the FBI agent, that he was doing things and acting in a way to kill the Bundy cattle, to do all, he had absolutely no authority to do anything that he was doing. He was ramping up all of that during the Bunkerville. They weren't armed. Many of the people there were not armed at all, right? And any of the Bundys, and prosecution already said that in the case, that they were not armed. But yet you'll hear armed standoff over and over again, and it really ticks me off.
When they talk about pictures of the Bundys with those lines on the faces.
Oh my gosh.
What's that? That is the little cross there for a sniper rifle.
Yeah, it's
that they draw in front of it.
It's so sick and disturbing that Representative Matt Shea, and I'm loving his courage for getting up here and saying, you know what, I'm not suicidal, but I am going to give this information. I'm writing a letter to the Trump administration. They're going to take action. There's a reason this case has been delayed. There is a reason that this is going on right now, and I think the judge who is, I can't even believe she's a judge. I just can't even believe she's a judge. She's the one that didn't allow the Constitution in her courtroom.
Right.
I think there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes right now.
Of course, there has to be, and there's a lot of blaming and shape-shifting and things moving around back there that people are trying to get out of the way.
It's deserved.
If this goes to Zinke, it's going to go to Trump.
Well, I just can't believe this information coming out is huge. Now, the reason I have covered this case endlessly is because on the air for the last several years, and of course my former co-host Brian Hyde is doing the same thing, is because no media will cover this, and there's a reason for that. The behavior, the illegal behavior, all of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes that they hid, that they concealed, is now finally coming to light. You know, you shine a light on cockroaches and it will come out. The deal is this. If you're not keeping an eye on this case, and I know this show is played from coast to coast and Canada too, and we're listened to in about 50 countries right now. If you're not keeping an eye on this case, then this is right hand, left hand kind of stuff. This case is huge because this is exposing what the federal government is doing in many cases. If they're getting caught in this case, can you imagine how much more is going on in other cases where people have been thrown into prison and the government colluded with the judges, and the government has been colluding? When you win 97% of your cases, something's wrong. And so I think this is going to shine a light on major corruption going on within the agencies, the BLM. This is huge, 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 and I hope people grasp this.
Why is it so huge? I believe because of the implications of this case.
Yeah.
If the Bundys win, that means riparian water rights, long-standing rights for farmers and ranchers.
Constitutional.
Thousands of acres are off limits to the federal government unless they legitimately purchase it with a will. You know, what it means is that the U.S. government loses a lot of its power over.
And it also exposes
over the land.
It exposes these agencies and the authority they've given themselves.
Yes.
Without constitutional authority to do so. So it is going to shine a light on all of that.
It's standing smack in the way of Agenda 21.
Oh, yeah.
Right in the way. But get all the people in the cities and open up the land and, take over the natural resources. The people can't have those resources. The government's got to have those resources. Sure. And it's standing smack in the way. It's like a barrier.
Oh,
and those and they got rid of every other farmer along that river, that Virgin River. They got rid of every farmer except the Bundys who refused to yield.
The ranchers and the farmers are the salt of this earth.
Right.
And if we do not stand by them and understand what's going on in this case, is they're really literally fighting for their lives, then you're not all the sexual allegations. This is nothing. This is nothing compared to what is going on in this case in America right now. So we're going to have Ammon Bundy come on next, and he'll be describing to us and telling us what's going on with the case and where they're at and what this information does. I can't wait to talk to him. So we're going to come right back with him. And I'm so glad you were down there, because what a reference, Dave. What a reference point you have in that you were actually down there that day. We'll be right back. This is the Kate Dalley Show, KateDalleyRadio.com. You can email me, Kate@KateDalleyRadio.com. Be right back.
Gold Ore Store has the perfect gift right now, waiting for you to claim its treasure chest of wondrous, amazing items. Bitcoin, gold bullion, silver bullion, vintage foreign and domestic coins and currency, hugely discounted gold jewelry, precious gems, and semi-precious stones set in incredible jewelry. Gold Ore Store in historic St. George, 7 North Main Street, or goldorestore.com.
Irritated at the high fees you're paying for cell phone and cable service? That's nothing compared to your retirement. Find out what you need to know Tuesday at 4:30 with Abe Ashen and Eric Nimmer on your family and your retirement on Fox News Radio 93.1 FM and 1450 KZNU.
Okay, kids, look, everyone, we have a lot of errands to run today. Okay, let's see. First thing, get gas, then pick up the birthday cake.
Bobby's poking me.
Bobby, stop that. Okay, pick up the dry cleaning. then to the pharmacy, then...
Does this sound like your typical day? What if you could take at least one of those errands off your plate? Stuckey Family Pharmacy can help with their free curbside or home or office delivery. The Stuckeys have kids at home too, so they understand that you're busy and that your time is valuable. That's why they offer free delivery. It's easy. Just refill your prescription, which you can do on their website if you want, then simply have it delivered to your home or office, or drive by and they'll bring it out to you. Curbside free. Stuckey Family Pharmacy, the personal touch for busy people like you. Find them at StuckeyFamilyPharmacy.com or drop by and say hello. They're just off Telegraph near Kohl's.
I can see it when they open the door to their car. That look. The same look and sigh that happens when you sit in your car for the first time. When your car is sparkling on the outside and super clean on the inside, it's hard not to have that look. You loved your car once. Let us detail it so you can love it again. You know it's more than just a great wash when you open the door to your car and sit in the driver's seat. St. George Car Wash and Detail Center, just off the freeway on South Bluff.
Hey, it's Chris for St. George Auto Gallery. I was actually talking to Jared about their brand new location. That's right. St. George Auto Gallery has a brand new location on Sunset right across the street from the bowling alley. And to kick things off, they are doing something I've never heard of before. For the entire month of December, if you come by a vehicle from their Sunset location, you're going to get free oil changes for life. That's right, for life. All you need to do is come and buy a car in December at the new Sunset store, and they're going to put you on the list, so to speak. You're going to have, free reign of just free oil changes for that vehicle for life. That's just some of the cool stuff they do at St. George Auto Gallery. So take them up on it. Go check out the brand new location on Sunset right across the street from the bowling alley. Get yourself a great vehicle. Get yourself a great warranty. Get yourself a great price with good financing and get free oil changes for life from St. George Auto Gallery.
Hey, folks, this is Dana from The Dana Show. Join me every weekday at 11 a.m. right here on Fox News KZNU. We check out the latest news. We check out what's happening, things you need to know about, and we have fun doing it. You get a car. You get a car. It's like Oprah, but nobody gets a car, and I'm not Oprah. Join me weekdays at 11 a.m. here on 1450 a.m. and 93.1 FM KZNU.
If you've been injured in an accident, don't just hire any lawyer. Hire the law firm with the best client reviews. How has Robert J. DeBry & Associates achieved these top client reviews? It starts with our 6-point client promise. Promise point number 4. We'll come to you, nights, weekends, whenever and wherever is best for you and your family. Your case, our promise. Robert J. DeBry & Associates, your St. George personal injury law firm. Chat with us online right now at robertdebry.com.
Talk lines are open now. Call 888-673-1450. This is the Kate Dalley Show.
Here comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane. Vixen and Blixen and all his reindeers pulling on the reins.
Hi there, welcome back to the Kate Dalley Show. Of course, Dave's picking the music today on our Friday, so Gene Autry is in play. I'm just going to say that and step back.
He's a cowboy, and we're interviewing the cowboy.
I know, I like Gene Autry. I'm just giving you a hard time. Welcome back to the show. Of course, Erin Elizabeth in the second hour. I am interviewing Dr. Richard Hawes of the CFR. If you have any questions for Dr. Richard Hawes of the CFR, you let me know before January. Email me at kate@katedalleyradio.com. We've been covering this case extensively for years now on the show, and actually about 4 years on the show, going all the way back way before Bunkerville, and the trials that the Bundy family has been through with the Gestapo, federal government. And I just want to welcome Ammon to the show, Ammon Bundy. I'm so grateful that you can call in today, and I'm so grateful to hear from you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Investigator Dave was actually down there in Bunkerville on the events of the day that this trial is all about. And so he might have some questions for you, too. What would you like people to know about the smoking gun, about the information that just came to light that is huge in this case?
Well, the interesting thing is we've obviously known about it. We lived it. And we've known that basically the indictment that landed us in prison for almost 2 years was a reverse indictment. And what I mean by that is everything that they said that we did is what they were doing to us. But I would have to say that it's nice to see it coming to the public in a different light, in a whistleblower situation, because I think it's just easier for people to believe it when it comes from the same side that at one time were, that actually did these things to us. So,
are you surprised? Are you surprised it's coming to light now?
No, I'm actually not at all. I knew it would come to light. If it wasn't going to come to light this way, it was going to come to light in the trial, and still might have to, because it is laced in the evidence through the discovery. It's laced all through the discovery that they conspired against our family to destroy us, to remove us from the land, and that they did it through military force, that Dan Love was chosen to do it by the hands of those above him, and then he was protected in this, and that's basically, I mean, it's all through it.
Are they going to try and throw him under the bus? Are they going to try and separate themselves from him and say that he went rogue and that it's all his fault, when I think they knew, and like you said, was he chosen to do it the way he did it, with kind of the don't say we're sending you, you just do this. What do you think?
Well, I mean, without speculating, because I don't want to do that, Dan Love obviously was hired. Dan Love has a history of certain things. And so for them to say that they hired somebody that they didn't know, or they hired somebody that, that went rogue, I think it's pretty hard for them to do that. However, he did do what he did, and they've already thrown him under the bus. He's already been fired from the Bureau of Land Management.
Right.
I don't know if you know that.
Yes. I just thought
that's
they'll
the way it works.
Continue to separate themselves from him. Put the blame on just him without putting the blame on the administration that put him there.
Yeah, I can't imagine him doing the things he did without some sort of blanket of immunity, some sort of communication from them that, don't worry, just get the job done.
Yeah.
Well, if you read the Wooten letter, all through it, again, it is laced with that, basically, that he couldn't understand, and what I mean by that is Wooten couldn't understand, it seems, it appears, in my opinion, as I read it, it appears that he can't understand why they're protecting this guy.
Right.
Why is he immune? Why is he
It's a great thought.
Intimidating all those under him and manipulating all those above him? And why is he able to do all this misconduct and this gross, these gross actions and not be reprimanded, not even be sanctioned?
Right.
Well, it's because he's protected.
Wow.
Right.
What do you think, as far as the case goes right now, what do you think the outcome will be? What do you think's going on maybe behind the scenes? And see, we speculate because that's that's what we do here. But I'm trying to kind of guess what the outcome here is going to be, what you think it might be, and what you think it might be in the other cases up to this point, where we've got people that are being sentenced and in prison. And so what do you think's going to happen with those? I mean, this is pretty big stuff. It was pretty big, shocking, smoking gun.
Yeah, but again, we've been locked away. They made a mistake, because what they did is they locked us away for 2 years, and then they gave us a discovery, and about half of those, the whole past year, actually a little over the past year, we have had access to computers with the discovery, and we've had time to go through it because we've been in prison.
Right.
Many hours.
These things are not a surprise to us. We have seen them, and we have been preparing to bring these forth in trial for a long, long time. So they're not a surprise to us.
Right.
All it is a confirmation to us that, and it's nice to see it come forth this way through a whistleblower, because, again, it makes it a little more easy for the public to believe, rather than the Bundys saying that this happened. The Bundys say that there were snipers, that there was crosshairs on our families, that they had technology that with lasers pointed at our front door, that they had drones, on our home. And these drones were military-type drones. Rather than us having to say all these things, it's nice that Wooten said that. But, to answer your question, and if I can, I'm going to try to answer it. I have to answer that question spiritually.
Okay.
Because I have known, and others, my family and these other people that have been in here, the Lord has let us know for a long time that He was going to protect us, that He was going to fight our fight, and that we were going to be free. We just didn't know how or when. Wow. And so that hasn't changed. It hasn't changed one bit. I have actually, through this process, long before Wooten's letter, long before even trial started, I have actually felt sorry for the prosecutors because of what the Lord is about to do to them.
Whoa.
Wow.
Whoa. Oh, I love this statement. I sure hope people are listening to you right now.
Are you surprised at the change of attitude in the judge? In trials past, you wouldn't allow the defense hardly to put on any kind of case.
No witnesses, nothing.
And all of a sudden, it seems to be a change in her. And
for some reason, I don't believe it was a change of heart. I believe it was a change of strong-arming her from the backside of this trial. What do you think, Ammon?
Well, maybe I'm, being naive, or maybe I'm just trying to be too kind, but I really want to give her the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
I don't want to give it too much, but
right,
because she is in a position of power. She is in a position that she's supposed to check and balance the government. I mean, she's in the judicial branch, and the prosecutors are in the executive branch, and they are not supposed to get along. They're supposed to check and balance each other to protect the rights of the people. So I don't want to give her too much leniency, but again, what has she been fed for 2 years? Actually, 4 years. She's been fed a pack of lies. And what has she been able, the only thing that she could go on is basically the evidence that has been presented to her. And frankly, it's taken us so long to get to trial. So during that period of time, she hasn't been able to see any of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first two trials, she restricted it, but then the attorneys, the public defenders, didn't fight to get this information in front of her.
Right.
And it's really until now that we have fought and said, no, we're not moving on until we get this stuff in front of you. And now she's seeing it, and she's reacting to it.
Wow.
So, I mean, I do want to give her the benefit of the doubt.
I'm trying to put my disdain away, and I am trying to do the same. But God bless you for trying to see the good side of her, because this has been a really tough thing to report on this end, and watch how she has really kind of abused the system. It's been tough. And so I think that says a lot about you and who you are as a person, that you're trying to see that side, that you're trying, because like you just stated, that the Lord's behind you. And when you feel that and know that, I can imagine now why you're coming to that conclusion, and I can really respect that.
Yeah, and, we are taught, through the scriptures, that we are supposed to pray for our enemies, that we're supposed to pray that their hearts will be softened, that they will see the truth, and that they will react to it. So we shouldn't turn around and say, oh, now that she's reacting to it, there's something malicious, or, we should be grateful for that. And for whatever reason, she's reacting to it. And I believe it's an answer to prayer. And so we can't pray for those things and then be like Jonah after he called the city of Nineveh to repentance, to go up on the hill and say, I'm mad at you, Lord, because you didn't destroy them.
It's a great lesson today. I'm really glad we're having you on today. Yeah, because it is. It's hard to not get jaded and cynical in this. As we've watched, I can't even imagine my heart goes out to you and every member of your family for what you all have been through, your families, your wives, all the members of your family. It has been, you have such support, and you have such support. I'm grateful to Matt Shea that he came out, and I feel sad that somebody has to come out when they're giving information and say, I'm not suicidal and there's no pictures on my computer, but here's some information about the federal government. We're in a sad state of affairs if that's the case, isn't it?
It is, and it is the case.
Yeah.
And we have to ask ourselves why, and I think that's what we're trying to do, and we're trying to ask ourselves, well, what do we do at this point so that we don't pass these things on to our children and to the past, generation or the next generations, and that's that's what we're doing here. We're trying to make sure that the wonderful blessings that we have enjoyed in our lives, that our children and our grandchildren can enjoy those as well, and that we can enjoy them for the rest of our lives.
I agree.
And we do not want to lose that.
Do you feel the weight of all of the other ranchers and farmers in this country, with all the land fights that have gone on, all the ranchers that have given up, all of those that have been basically bullied off their properties or whatever the case may be? Do you feel that weight every day with this case?
No, I don't.
You don't? Wow.
No, I don't, because all we have done is what the Lord has asked us to do. And I mean that literally. We have done the best we can as imperfect people to try to understand what we are supposed to do. And it's come little by little, here a little, there a little. We've done it, we've acted, and then we've been, given something else. We've acted on it. And it's not like we've been able to see and plot out this big plan and be able to understand the ramifications of everything. It just hasn't worked that way. And I'm grateful it hasn't worked that way. I know and believe that it is for a bigger, a better cause, but I can't say that I've been, or my father or my family have been the champions of, the cattle industry or the logging industry or the mining industry or agriculture in general, because we're just doing what we're been asked and what we feel is right, and that's about as far as it has gone.
Wow, you really do. You bring tears to both Dave and I's eyes, because we can feel where you're coming from, and I'm telling you, this has been you've suffered. This has been a fight, and it has been so hard on your family. How are you guys feeling now? What's the what's the general feeling? And I know Cliven is still behind bars. Is there anything going on with that? Is there any kind of update?
Well, my dad's not coming out till he's a free man, and
he's a
I
good
can't
man.
speak for my brothers, but I can speak for myself. I actually carried that same position as my dad, that I wasn't coming out. I wasn't going to come out. I wasn't going to go home, although I haven't been able to go home, but I wasn't going to wear a GPS bracelet, and because I did not want to be an example of how to be a prisoner in my own home to my children. But yet, when it came time, and even before it came time, I felt some understanding that I was supposed to come out and and try to do as much good as I can. But my dad didn't feel the same.
Okay, stop right there. We're going to have you come right back right after the break. 3-minute break. We'll be right back because I want to hear this. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Kate Dalley Show, KateDalleyRadio.com with Ammon Bundy on the line. Hold on.
On Monday, April 11th of 2011, you could have purchased a Bitcoin for $1. Today, that same coin is worth over $6,000.
Whoa! How old is this ad?
All right, let me see. That was November, Greg. That was November 11th.
I am so sorry, folks. This is totally wrong. I'll get you more updates later. But on December 8th, we were at 16,000. You've got to learn about Bitcoin. GoldOrStore.com.
Do you take insurance? A question we get asked every single day. Our answer? Absolutely not. At Balanced Healthcare, we love you far too much to do that. The problem with insurance-based healthcare is that it gives insurance-based results, and we've all seen what that means. Let's face it, if antidepressants really worked, our country would be the happiest, most happening place in the world. But we aren't. Instead, we have an opioid crisis. People are going crazy on psychotropic meds, killing other people with guns, and almost half the adult population will die of heart disease, and another 43% will die from cancer. If you want more from your healthcare dollars, come see what we can do. At Balanced Healthcare, we are not just chiropractic physicians practicing functional medicine. We have a whole team with the most advanced functional medicine training around, not to mention that we are less than half the price. And you deserve the best healthcare team in your corner. That's why we invite you to trust your care to Balanced Healthcare.
Wow, it's already the holidays, which means trying to find great gift ideas for everyone on my list.
How about a deluxe car wash from St. George Car Wash and Detail Center? Each coupon book includes 10 washes for the best inside and outside wash in town, and at the lowest price of the year. It's our way of saying thanks for 23 amazing years.
Sounds perfect for neighbors, teachers, friends, co-workers, and even stocking stuffers.
Sure, there's no limit and they never expire. Come see the difference at St. George Car Wash and Detail Center near the freeway on South Bluff Street.
Steamroller Copies, we're the one to help you till your work is done. The full service business center makes your day run so much better.
Is your copier costing your business too much? Do you go through several reams of paper per month? Does it feel like you replace those little ink cartridges all the time? Or is your copier from the big box store slow and frustrating? Well, you may have the wrong machine running your business. At Steamroller Equipment and Supply, we make the complex simple. Simple because of the unique way in which we acquire our equipment. So unique that our pricing will really surprise you. Imagine buying or leasing a like-new late-model car with a few thousand miles on it with a full warranty, but up to half the price of new. That's a typical example of Steamroller's quality, warranty, and pricing. Try a refreshing approach and let our free consultation see if we can save you time and money on your next copier, lease, or purchase. Call John at 435-862-1446. That's John at 435-862-1446.
The full service business center, Steamroller Copies.
Talk lines are open now. Call 888-673-1450. This is the Kate Dalley Show.
Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring, snowing and blowing up bushels of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun.
Hi there. Welcome back to the Kate Dalley Show. So glad that you're tuning in from all over the world today. Really happy to have you on board. And let me say I've got Investigator Dave with me, and we also have the phenomenal Ammon Bundy. I'm really happy to have Ammon on the show because I think that family is the salt of the earth, and I think they have stood for what's right. And as we have followed this case, a lot of mainstream media won't even touch this case. It makes me really sad because this is the landmark case. Countries, all kinds of countries, have their eyes on this particular case because this truly is, it's going to be amazing to see what comes out in this case. We already have shocking smoking gun documents coming out about the illegal behavior of the federal agencies at hand. This case is ongoing right now. I'm grateful to have you on the show, Ammon. And as we just ended that segment before, you were just talking about your father. He is still in prison, and wow, he has said, "I will not come out until I'm a free man." Let's revisit that.
Yeah, so I was just talking about, again, trying to just follow the way that the Spirit has guided us the best we can. And my father felt that he shouldn't come out. And I'll just kind of give you, I was sitting right behind him during the hearing when we were released. And of course, his attorney's wanting him to agree to going out. And then we had a break. We went back into the back, the holding cell back there, and we were talking. And, of course, we're debating what is right. And my father just says, "I don't feel yet," he said, "that I should go out." And then when we came back in, we were talking a little bit before the judge came back in, and we were talking, and he people were kind of pressuring around him, just trying to get him to go out. And he says, "Don't pressure me. I do not feel like I'm supposed to go out yet." Wow. And that's what my dad does. My dad does what he feels is right, and then he sticks to it. And So
he's a good man. He
feels that he's supposed to stay in there, and he does not want to come out until he is free. And I believe he's doing exactly what is right.
Yep.
And I believe that he will walk out of there a free man, and he'll go back to his home, and he'll go back to ranching and farming and doing what he loves as a 71-year-old man, and enjoying his grandchildren.
Wow. I'll tell you something. If this doesn't bring tears to people's eyes when they realize the stand that all of you are taking and what you're fighting for, I don't know what will. In fact, Mel Bundy, who was also illegally incarcerated for 2 years and is on release for trial right now, said something that it really shook me. And I'd love for you to repeat what he said about this stand that the family has had to take.
Well, you might have it written down, but I'll try to paraphrase it the best I can. He says, "Well, you know,
we're not."
You gave it to me earlier, and I don't want to mess it up. So why don't you just say it, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it.
Okay, all righty. He wasn't doing what he did. You aren't doing what you're doing so that your kids won't have to in the future. You're showing them how to do it. How to stand. The weight of that statement is so huge that I hope people digest that right now. You're not doing this so your kids won't have to. You're doing it so that you can show them how to, because this isn't going away.
No, it never goes away. This is the eternal battle of life.
Yeah.
And, you know, we believe and understand through the scriptures, through modern day revelation, that what determined whether we had the blessing to come here to earth or not was whether we would stand for liberty or not, to stand in the defensive agency of man. And so that is still the issue today. That battle still goes on and will always go on. And there'll be as you look back in history, there's several things that you see, and you look into society. And one is that you see that man cannot be happy without his agency, without freedom. And then you see that there's always those that are there to take it away. They're always organizing and plotting to take away the agency of man. And then third, you see that if man does not stand to defend their agency, it is taken. And that's in every part of history. And so for us to believe that somehow we're going to pass, liberty onto our children and then they don't have to fight for it is exactly what Mel is, I think, referring to. And that is a wise and inspired statement.
Yes. Yeah. Very good.
It's jarring, really. Think about it.
As a student of history, I see that myself. When you brush away all the politics, all the religion, all the economics, brush everything away and just look at what's going on from a long-range perspective, it always comes down to people want to control you, and you want to be free.
We fought a revolution for that hunger.
Control.
For that hunger of freedom. We fought a revolution for this.
Right.
And I think people are asking for government tyranny in this country. There are people out there begging the government to be more tyrannical. What in the world are they thinking? It reminds me of that script, they know not what they do. You just shake your head. You can't imagine, because this thirst for hunger is innate, correct?
Yep, that's a very good...
or thirst for liberty, I'm sorry. Hunger for liberty.
Yes. Yeah, that scripture that you quote, that, they're blinded by the craftiness of men, and so that's why they act. And they do not know what they're doing, and it is true, and that is unfortunately where we become. That's what happens to us when we don't do our history, when we don't get educated, when we don't understand these principles of freedom.
Yeah,
we lose them.
Yeah, I totally agree. In fact, I want to ask you more of a personal question, and I hope you don't mind. I had a nephew that passed away, and at the funeral, I'll never forget my brother-in-law talking about his wife. And what he saw in his wife and the amazing qualities that came out as this happened to their family. And it was so tragic. He was 18. Tell me about your feelings about your wife and family going through this and what you've witnessed and the rocks that they've been.
Well, when I was first incarcerated, I mean, it was very, very difficult because I felt so powerless to fulfill my role as a provider and as the defender and protector and teacher of my family. I felt so helpless. I could not do it. I mean, I called each day and we read scriptures together and we prayed and we talked and I tried to maintain those relationships, but I saw them slowly changing, and I really, really, really worried about my family and about the weight that was placed upon my wife and just everything about, finances and about someone hurting them and about, them being affected by this long term for the rest of their lives negatively. And so these were all concerns of mine. But I have watched my wife and my sister-in-laws too, and my mother, and the others that, that had their husbands and loved ones in here as well. I watched them, my wife just constantly be strengthened and just be consistent and do the things that were making up for me being gone. And it's just amazing how they continue to grow. They continue to learn. They continue to thrive. And it strengthened them. And they're better off now. They're better because of this situation. I'm better. My wife is better. And it has been a great but terribly great experience.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're all strengthened from it. That's wonderful.
I know.
That the hammering,
yeah.
For weaker people, it'll crush them. And for strong people, religious people, people devoted, and it doesn't matter, to people with integrity, it strengthens them. That's great.
Yeah.
My wife has been tremendous. I mean, I can't say enough. I really, really can't. And my sister-in-laws, and my mother, and the others, they have been absolutely amazing. The suffering and the pain that they have gone through, and the many, many tears over the phone, and the many tears alone, and taking care of all those children and all that burden being placed upon them, and yet they have just been tremendous, and they've had a lot of wonderful help, a lot of angels that have come their way and bless them, in the form of friends, in the form of family, and just in the form of support, maybe even across the country. But we've grown tremendously from this.
You have so much support from so many in the country, and I know you felt it and have seen it, but it is truly amazing to see how many people traveled. And you wanted to ask him, too, about those that traveled as part of militias.
When I was there, I started to understand for the first time the Constitution, a well-regulated militia. With this congressman talking about the chaos and stupidity within the BLM, and they're supposed to be well-regulated, but yet the militia that showed up there were so well-organized, so disciplined, so calm.
Good Americans with good hearts that understand the Constitution.
Good people, and it broke my heart to see some of them thrown in prison for being there.
Yeah, and still are, have sentences.
And still are, and still have sentences against them. And I thought,
what are your thoughts?
What do you think about that?
Well, again, I'm going to try to answer this question if I can, on it spiritually with the spiritual aspect to it, because it is my belief that each one of those individuals, whether they were members of a militia or whether they were a mother or a father or maybe a church leader or, whether they just came on their own and whether they came from Connecticut or they came from Alaska or they came from Las Vegas, I believe that they were moved by the right spirit, that they saw something and it moved in them that they had to act. And they came. And they came from all over, and they were all walks of life. And all different types of people because they felt that they were supposed to come. And what they did is they basically, they saved our lives. And we see that it was, that they very much did save our lives. This Wooten letter just confirms that even further, that they literally were looking for an excuse to kill our family. And that is, you know, factual now. I can say that without any doubt, with all the proof I need, I can say that. And because people came, whether they're in a militia or not, they saved our lives.
Wow.
Yeah, and they came with a good intention of not doing something to the federal government. They just wanted to stand, and that's what it was designed to do. They've really villainized this in the press. They've villainized it, and I want people to understand that there was a reason that the founding fathers found this to be vital.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Well, I always kind of go back to the principles of federalism, if you will, and you know, people might want to be scared of that word because it has federal in it, but federalism by doctrine or by principle, I guess, is when you delegate certain powers to different entities and then they check and balance each other. Now, we know that the people reserve all the powers to themselves, that we are, the people are the ones who have the rights. The rights have been given to us by God, and that we institute governments for the protection of those rights. And we instituted the county governments, the state governments, and the federal government, or the general government, as the founders a lot of times called it. And the federal government is there to protect the states from the outside world. That is one of their jobs. They're there to take care of international trade.
Ammon, we are short on time. It's going to cut to a break. Tell them where they can find the video of you talking about these things.
There's a YouTube video out there that's called "By What Authority Are They Acting On?" And if you just type, search
By what
Ammon
authority?
Bundy and then what authority are they acting on?
Okay.
I go over these principles that I'm talking about right now.
Ammon Bundy, Godspeed to you and your family. We'll keep people updated on this case. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was great to hear from you. And of course, we'll be back with Erin Elizabeth. Do not miss this next segment. And wow, just wow. We'll be right back. Are you concerned about your health care? Are you worried about paying the Obamacare IRS penalties?